To get his head bashed in. If you're in a gang, what possibly could happen to your family? A lot. We have seen not only gang members get killed for tagging, but there has been innocent people that were around areas that were shot because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Drive-bys were more of just an actual drive-by. You didn't back up, you just kept going, and whoever they hit, they hit. Hello everyone, Chris the Cop. I'm back in Gamology Studios for a little Experts React GTA San Andreas, one of my favorites. God, GTA's come a long way. Please, no hate. I'm just gonna give you my perspective because that's what I'm here for, to talk about what is real in games as opposed to, what we really do in law enforcement. So, Los Santos, we know, is pretty much LAPD. I mean, it's the same, skyline, all that. We know it's basically Los Angeles, but they're not gonna call it Los Angeles, okay? So this is a high-risk stop. A high-risk stop is not gonna be done by 3 officers. And here's the funny part. I've never seen anybody ride 3 deep. Who's gonna sit in the back seat? Has anyone ever been in the back seat of a police car? It's utterly disgusting, okay? No, so I'm not gonna sit in the back of a plastic seat with a cage in front of me. Just not gonna happen, okay? So there would be at least 2, if not 3 cars. Yes, somebody's gonna be calling them back and they're gonna be doing all that type of stuff, but I just thought it was kind of funny right now. And I get it, it's for the gameplay, la-da-da-da-da-da, but it'd be definitely done a lot differently in real life. So I just wanted to point that out right here, but I understand it's a game, so. Oh, dirty cops. Oh, they're gonna be dropping them off. Let's talk about the whole dirty cop thing. Yes, we could talk all day long about some of the bad things plaguing the professional law enforcement. I get it, and I'm gonna be biased because I'm a police officer. But let me tell you something right now. This is a type of crap that good cops hate. We know there's bad cops out there, and we look for bad cops. I personally have worked for internal affairs, and I can tell you right now that 3 police officers are now called ex-police officers because of the investigations that I conducted on them. And I have no problem. I sleep like a baby tonight knowing that their badge was taken away from them. That's exactly what we try to do. But unfortunately, usually when a bad cop is detected, they've already done so much damage to the public trust that the public no longer trusts us. And that's why it's called the public trust. Now, him being thrown in a rival gang territory, it could be very detrimental. Now, I remember when this game came out. Now, I was an EMT/paramedic in the late 80s and 90s during the color wars. And I was actually in Huntington Park as an EMT, tons of drive-bys. I mean, we literally went on stabbings and shootings every weekend. This type of stuff being dropped off here, not having the right colors, he's going to be targeted and he'll be lucky if he makes it out of the neighborhood alive, because everybody in these small neighborhood pockets knows who belongs and knows who don't belong. See how this plays out for him. Have to get his head bashed in. If you're in a gang, what possibly could happen to your family? A lot. I responded on what's considered the worst mafia killing, they say in the United States, but in Los Angeles for sure. A gang member had dropped out. What ended up happening was the Mexican mafia ordered him to be executed. The gang that went after him chased him down, and subsequently he ran home into a house where his family was at. The gang chasing him shot his uncle at the front door, shot a mom, an 8-year-old little girl, 6-month-old baby, and then finally found him in the back and killed him. Everybody was wiped out. 5 people were murdered that night. I was on that scene as a paramedic. This kind of showed that nobody was safe during this particular time. Things like that happen. They definitely try to keep away from the kids, but this was just a different time when the drugs were flowing in and out of Los Angeles. We had drive-by shootings going on every day. A lot of innocent people were killed during these drive-by shootings. If a gang goes after someone's family, they're probably trying to send a message. I responded numerous calls of drive-by shootings exactly like this. Remember, that's how most of these gangs started, was just trying to protect their little piece of the neighborhood from a rival gang coming in and doing certain things. And of course, now they've evolved into, a lot more these days. But if we go back into, the 1950s and 60s, and we see when gangs started to evolve, it was just to protect small neighborhoods. That's what was going on there. Tagging is still utilized today. Tagging has been around for decades. Tagging just shows a couple of different things. Number one, the neighborhood you're in, because gangs will tag up their neighborhood to let everybody else know that you're in their turf, or they'll use tagging to antagonize other gangs. In other words, a rival gang will go into another gang's neighborhood, cross out their stuff, tag over their stuff to send a message that, hey, we were here, we disrespected you, what are you gonna do about it? Essentially challenging them. We have seen not only gang members get killed for tagging, but there has been innocent people that were around areas that were shot because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Let's talk about this for a sec. What's kind of going on here is they're really talking about how, the drugs are prevalent throughout the area. Everyone's selling drugs. And one of the sad things that happened is that Hollywood really did not help us. Hollywood television, glamorized, you could eventually become, let's think about Scarface, is that, oh, he rose to the top with the cocaine stuff. And then we see other stories that took the Los Angeles background and showed how people rose to the top. They had the mansion, they had all the cars, they had all the ladies. All of these small-time dealers wanted a piece of that because the drug trade was glamorized. You had at one time this faction fighting this faction, and then they started fighting within themselves when there was nobody else left. It destroyed some gangs because they fought inside. Today, I even see our own gang shooting and killing each other based upon whatever dynamics and politics are happening within the gang. So we even have that happening within the gang. So really good. What he's talking about here is that this is not going to do us any good, and it's just not making us like tight, cohesive team, basically. Really realistic scenario there. Drive-bys were more of just an actual drive-by. You didn't back up, you just kept going, and they did the spray and pray, and whoever they hit, they hit. I don't really think they would really get out of the car because remember, now they got to get away. They got to keep on the move. They got to get as far away from these scenes as possible because the police are going to be coming. A little bit of gameplay here, but realism, the first one, yeah, drive-by, boom, 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 hit it, and then keep going. I've never seen real whole neighborhoods shot up. I've only seen just a one like house or apartment complex in the front, whatever that may be, shot up, but not like running through the whole entire gang's neighborhood. This would be a tough one though, because they would have to park someplace they can get back over the walls and get going because, cemetery, surrounded by 4 walls, fences, all that type of stuff. We don't want to get into get far away, especially with police being called.
Whoa, sweet fam.
Get in the car and drive. And there are the cops. The way he's driving reminds me of one time I was transporting a patient to the hospital. We were going to King Drew. I had my lights and siren on. You don't roll through a red light. You actually slow down to about 10 to 15 miles an hour, look left, look right, make sure the intersection is clear, and drive through. Well, as I did that, I remember looking left, and all of a sudden I caught a glimmer of something, and it was a sedan type vehicle, no headlights on, ended up having none of its lights on, blew right through the intersection, probably 70, 80 miles an hour, flew across the other side, and kept traveling. It was during this time, so I thought to myself, either A, they just got done committing a crime, or B, they were part of a drive-by shooting. And I remember looking at my partner like, oh, there goes another one. And we just crossed over the intersection and kept transporting our patient to the hospital. But seeing that type of driving kind of just jarred that. I had not thought about that memory in a long time, but I just remember that right now as seeing the driving in this game. And they go home as if nothing happened. What I can appreciate of Grand Theft San Andreas is how they captured the very essence of the crack wars going on in Los Angeles, as well as kind of like, I don't want to say the gang mentality regarding respect, regarding going to other people's territories, the using of graffiti to mark your territory or to disrespect another gang, the drive-bys. I mean, this was all part of our past here in Los Angeles from the 80s to the 90s. Unfortunately, we're starting to see this happen again, but it did a really good job here. I can really appreciate, I actually would love to see a remake of this game with current graphics. I think it would be phenomenal. So Rockstar, if you're listening, let's make it happen. Much of my experience during this time period was when I was an EMT and paramedic. Luckily, the amount of experience that I got as a paramedic from gunshot wounds to the stabbings and then from the overdoses was just phenomenal. If you worked a Friday or Saturday, you started your shift by hanging your IVs to deal with trauma, and you got everything ready because it wasn't a matter of if you got a shooting or stabbing, it was just a matter of when you got a shooting or stabbing. The overdoses, they were just daily. They didn't have to be Friday or Saturday, they were just daily. When people smoked too much meth or too much crack and they finally got to a point where their heart couldn't take it, because that's what happens, your heart just eventually explodes, we would just find them dead. What's the crisis in the United States? The opiate crisis. So we're just seeing fentanyl become now the new crack cocaine of the 90s. San Andreas captured that time in history very well. If you love this content, head on over to Gamology and follow them on both YouTube and Facebook. As far as for me, you can find me on YouTube as well at Chris the Cop. Until next time, peace everyone. Oh, react, okay. Got it. Reacting to GT, okay, just right into it. Hey, 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 hey. with a little experts react on San Andreas. Hey everybody, Chris the Cop. I'm back in game. I don't want to do hey anymore.